to the Concussion Protocol Podcast, 2/3 edition. Hi, man. How was your guys' week without any playoff games? Was it weird for you? Because I think it was weird.
You, it was pretty weird. And you know what, Chase? You put a hex on me or something when you stole my mojo. You dressed up like me. And so you know what? I'm going to dress up like you this
Okay.
time, Mr. Stranger Things. And we'll see how you
All right.
like
Now
it.
you just need some glasses, man.
Oh,
It's like,
dang it.
oh,
They're
damn
too
it.
far away. I
He's
should have
like,
put them
damn it,
on
I can
though.
see naturally. This sucks.
Yeah, we'll see how it throws you off on your picks
Yeah,
this
dude,
time.
I'm not doing that great. So I think you're just hexing yourself even further, dude. Watch this.
Yeah, I probably should have thrown on some super tight
Yeah.
ASU shirt or
Some shirt
something.
he got 10 years ago that he still wears. The 1 year he
Yeah.
attended ASU. Or sorry, 1.5. 1.5. He doesn't want me to forget that half. Oh, but yeah.
Yeah, but what a weird week, man. I mean, I for sure felt good about my picks, and I was like, Connor, what are you doing? ECU? Why are you picking them? They don't even have House or anything. And
Pitt
what do
lays
you
an
know?
egg.
I know nothing. We spent this whole season learning about these teams to put them in bowl games, and it turns out, Chase, we know nothing.
When it comes to the ACC, it's just an absolute coin flip. That's what I mean. I recorded the stats for these things myself, and they are literally 3-3. The ACC. So they and some of those losses are to G5 opponents. So just shows how inconsistent and unpredictable the ACC is at any point. Oh man,
Crazy.
good times and bad times. Well, speaking of bad times, we've had an interesting week here, Chance, the BYU fan. How do you feel about Mr. Whittingham's signing with Michigan and poaching your coaches?
Oh my gosh. You know, that whole thing was nuts with Michigan. I remember Connor being like, wait, what? Michigan's firing their head coach? And everybody was like, what are they doing? And then like 20 minutes later, we're like, wait, what? And then like an hour later, we're like, wait, what? He's in jail. He's been cuffed. What's going on? You know, a little odd that we haven't had any update on him. I hope he's okay. I mean, I don't agree at all with what he's done, but he's a human being, right? Hopefully he's getting the right help and everything. But man, Michigan they're in trouble. They can't have something else go wrong in that program. They've had too many sanctions, too many weird things, right? So you go for the home run hire, and the home run hires, they said no, right? So then what do? You got to find somebody who you know he's not going to have any issues going to your program. He's going to be, I don't want to call him a Band-Aid because I think he's really a great coach. It's just he's not a long-term coach, right? So partially a Band-Aid, but someone who's going to be reliable and not cause issues. And that's Kyle Whittingham. I actually don't have bad things to say. He's a stellar coach. He's going to bring success, and it's going to come at the cost of Utah fans and BYU fans. Man, Jay Hill, that sucks. I broke the news to you a little bit early, by the way. I mean, I guess to this point, it's not official yet, but I can tell you I have some inside sources that, yeah, it's unless a miracle happens, it's probably done. It's probably just figuring out the money and the contract itself and agreeing to it than it is, hey, am I going or not at this point? But I mean, I've seen miracles happen before with Satake, so yeah, I mean, good for Jay Hill. Good for Kyle Whittingham. They'll probably get Jason Beck over there and a bunch of position coaches from Utah. We'll see who they poach, who they get over there, what Michigan looks like. But if you're a Michigan fan, I think you're a little surprised. You don't know what's going on, maybe because it's not like a huge household name, maybe like Kalen DeBoer, but you should be very happy because top end coaches who, with the resources of Michigan should do very well. And if I'm Ohio State, I'm not as happy about this hire because I think they can really compete with the Big Ten and Ohio State. That's just my opinion, though. You got a different opinion?
Oh, I think he's a great hire. I mean, I think he's the only hire they really could have got. The market was dead at the. That's what's so unfortunate about the Michigan thing is obviously I'm not going to speak too much about the legal stuff and what happened with the whole drama because at the end of the day we don't really know exactly what happened. We're just hearing things and assuming. That's kind of what happened last year with the Kyron Lacey stuff. Is a ton of people just thought, oh yeah, this kid got caught speeding and now he did what he did, and then a ton of people came out and said a ton of horrible things about him, and the dude and the poor kid offs himself. So I'm not gonna say anything about Sharon and what happened there because we don't know. We'll find out more later. But as far as the Whittingham thing, it's the best hire they could get right now. The market's dead. The only thing they could have done more is maybe Marcus Freeman, but why would he leave Notre Dame to go to Michigan? I mean, you could argue it's a slightly better job, but it's going to have less job security. So why? It would. It's not really. It's not that much of a step up, if any, in my opinion.
Plus, you got a guarantee if you're top
Yeah,
12, right?
you get
Why
a
leave
guaranteed
Notre
to
Dame
the
at this
playoffs
point?
next year if you're Marcus Freeman. You don't have that at Michigan because you got to go through Ohio State. You have to go through USC, who just dog walked you last year, and then I think they have to play Indiana next year. I have to check that schedule, but there's it looks like next year we have some of the top dogs not hiding from each other next year in the Big Ten. So I will like to see that a lot more because this year was a little bit disappointing how those teams were hiding from each other, other than Penn State, who just collapsed in on itself. So I
Yeah,
think
they
it's a
did.
great hire for them. It's the best they could have done, and it's a win. It's a win when really what you were looking at if he said no was, I guess we're getting a coordinator from somewhere, or we're just going with an interim this year because there's nobody left really. So I think it's a great A hire.
Did you- Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what do you think happens at Utah now?
I think what happens is I think I don't even mean just for Utah. I think in the state of Utah, he is going to poach people from all over Utah, from BYU, from Utah State. I don't know. He just seems to like everybody there. So him and Jay
Yeah,
Hill are unfortunately going to take a lot of talent from the state of Utah. And I'm sorry, Utes and Cougs fans, but unfortunately, it's going to be at your expense. Unfortunately.
I'm actually a little optimistic on BYU side. I think it just depends on who they get for defensive coordinator. I think they've got some options. Obviously, Jay Hill was probably the best option, but I still think they've got some talent that they can go through. Um, I mean, there's one name in particular that's being thrown out. Young player, super great. Foletu Satawala, he's amazing. If BYU loses him, that really sucks. But I don't know if they will. I've seen a lot of BYU players actually comment that they're back, and maybe even surprisingly to some people. So we'll see. Isaiah Glasker's another one on defense, but they're not going to poach offensive players, I don't think. I'm actually a little bit more worried about Utah because Kyle Willingham said he's not going to poach players, that if they go into the transfer portal, then, he'll reach out to them, and that's the process he's going to make. I don't know how much I believe that or not, or how much people are just assuming that
He's
he'll be
kind
interested.
of
But I
he has to
expect,
say that. What's he gonna say? "I'm absolutely gonna poach all of these Utes."
yeah, exactly right. But I expect a lot of offensive players, especially from Utah, transferring over to Michigan. We'll see. I mean, anything can happen. I feel for Utah a little bit because they were just getting momentum. They tried to do something that was different and do it the right way. They had a coach that they really liked in Morgan Scalley, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We don't want you to leave. We know your potential. We want to make you the next head coach, right?" And we don't know, to your point, Chase, we don't know exactly the situation, but it's hard to imagine with Kyle Whittingham being like, yeah, I'd be open to another job. Yeah, put me in, That's not somebody who just drops out by themselves. You know what I mean? There's got to be, I don't know, probably some pressure coming from Morgan Scalley and the administration being like, hey, this guy's not going to be around forever. You got to make your decision, Kyle. And he was probably like, well, I really want to keep coaching. I'm not done. And they're like, well, we kind of need you to be. And, fortunate for him, he got the job at Michigan. I mean, how does that even happen? But that's going to cost Utah. And you would think that trying to do what I think would be the right thing or an interesting thing of way of doing things wouldn't hurt them like this, but I don't know. It seemed like they got momentum with winning a lot of games this year. They started recruiting a couple of dudes late in the season or during midseason. Seems like they were about to reboot and then boom, So there's tons of time to figure out what's going to go on, but if you're a fan of in the state of Utah, you've got to be nervous. And if you're a fan of Michigan, I would be happy. I know Dave Portnoy is happy somewhere out there.
And Dave Portnoy. No wonder he was no wonder he was so fond of BYU. He was about to poach their defensive coordinator.
You know what? They actually they talked about it and they're like, all right, so is Provo Dave dead? And he's like, no, everybody keeps telling me congrats and that they wish that this didn't happen, but they're happy for me and this and that. So apparently he's getting a lot of love still. Who knew?
Yep. So for the Utes, unfortunate, but if you want to keep this guy, and like we don't know the details obviously, but it is very likely if they would have just kept Whittingham, this dude was probably going to leave soon. If not this year, then next. There's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Well, let me try to fix my end. Morgan Scalley's a great coach. So, I mean, they're still not just toast as a program. They're still on a good track and everything. It's just unfortunate how it
Yeah,
all
I think it's a short term ouch, like it hurts short term, but in the long term, I think because Whittingham was gonna leave at some point, if you would have lost this guy and then Whittingham leaves in a year or two, you'd been screwed. So this is probably the best decision you could have made out of a bad situation. And on the bright side, their Utah's schedule does not look that tough next year. You got BYU, you got at Arizona. Arizona's kind of stepping up right now, so if they do well in recruiting and keep Pete as a senior though, right? He's leaving, so they got to figure out what's going on at quarterback. But Arizona could be a threat if they've gained some momentum from this year, especially winning the Territorial Cup. And I think that's what nine is that 9 wins or 10 wins for them? I think it was 10 wins.
They lost 3 during the seasons. That would have been 9-3. So it depends if they win their
Gotcha.
bowl game.
And I think they're going to take care of business, but we'll see. I mean, SMU has already lost to 2 Big 12 teams earlier this season that were much worse than Arizona, especially defensively. So this should be a clean sweep for them, but we'll see. But as for next year, really, Utah, they got to go to Cincinnati. They destroyed Cincinnati this year. TCU, BYU, obviously, their schedule looks very, very manageable. They're out of conferences: Idaho, Utah State, and Arkansas. So they should be cruising. Even if they do get some people poached, they should have at least an 8-win season, at least. And that's if they get a ton of people poached.
Yeah. Well, that's the season you want to have after losing your head coach.
Because even if you lose that and you make that, you're gonna still keep some momentum, as opposed to like the previous year where your team fell apart because of injuries. So it's probably for the best. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they just got to reload on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. All right, quick recap of this week. First, I want to give a quick nod to the First Responder Bowl, UTSA at FIU. Those Roadrunners, man, they destroyed FIU. It started out 14-zip FIU, by the way. 14-zip. And I was like, Connor, your Roadrunners, they're choking. What's going on? And then they proceeded to put on, I think, 37 unanswered points. Like, they were scoring so easily, and they were just running right through a Swiss cheese FIU defense, I guess. Like, they destroyed them after that. It was super fun to watch. There's a lot of big plays, a lot of interesting plays, and a couple turnovers that were pretty intense too. So this was a really fun watch. But shout out to that bowl. That was really fun.
Good. What is it? Jeff Traylor? That's the head coach's name, right? For UTSA. He's super underrated. That guy is really good. I don't know how UTSA retains that guy. But credit to him, man. He's a good coach. You gotta feel bad a little bit for FIU. I think that was like their best season ever. Unfortunately, at least they made a bowl, you know.
To be fair, FIU is
But
very
yeah,
new. It is a
UTSA.
very new school for football purposes, so it's not that shocking. UConn at the same time had one of the best seasons they've had in a long time, and they got manhandled by Army. So they had a ton of people opt out. They had their
Yeah,
basically whole entire offense opt out, but Army walked them. So
I'm a little surprised that Army beat them as well as they did. But credit to them.
those those uh those academies, man, they do well in bowl games. I don't know that nobody opts out. That's for one.
Yeah,
Nobody opts out for these teams. They all play. So
that that's fair. I just thought that in bowl games, when you can prep more for that triple option kind of team, you can do better than during the regular season. But I mean, I guess they're proving me wrong. And to Army's point, they are throwing the ball a little bit more. They're mixing it up a little bit more. You know, they're adapting, and so they're performing pretty well. And they lost a lot of close games this season against some pretty decent teams. So
some not so decent.
good for them.
Charleston,
And some not so decent, yeah. Also, yes.
Charleston State is a great
Um,
team in the FCS, but as far as for FBS, no, nope.
yeah. But I mean, I'm interested in seeing in how Navy will do, because that'll be another indicator, right, of those service
I think they should
academies.
be comfortable in their game as well. I mean, obviously, since Cincinnati had their quarterback opt out, but we'll get to that later. One of the most entertaining bowl games that I saw, I don't know about you, the New Mexico Bowl, North Texas versus San Diego State. San Diego State,
Y-
did you expect this from them? That they literally, first of all, they had I believe, is their third string quarterback come in, and he absolutely performed pretty well. His rating wasn't great at the end, but he put on a lot more offense than that offense was used to through the air, at least. So
Well, it was a tale of two teams, right? You had North Texas, who has no defense whatsoever, but an electric offense, and you had San Diego State, top 5 defense and no offense whatsoever. It had to go one way or the other, right? And it turns out, they played to North Texas's game, and San Diego scored, what was it, 47 points, 49 to
yeah,
47. I don't think they scored 47 points the whole season. So I mean, that was yeah, good on them for doing that. And good on North Texas for finding a way to score 49 on them. That's impressive too. So yeah, crazy game for
apparently
sure.
defense wins championships, but offense wins bowl games. So into you there.
There you
But
go.
dude, that was a crazy game just on both sides. Obviously, North Texas seemed to be in control for a majority of that game, but San Diego State kept pulling right back in. There was a lot of like these huge turnovers. Some of them were back-to-back plays. It was literally San Diego, I believe they fumble, and then North Texas, sorry, opposite. North Texas fumbles, and then San Diego State picks off the guy. So it was it was really fun to watch. Amazing season for Drew Mustamaker. He broke the school record for touchdowns in a season in that game with 34. He had already broken the school record for most passing yards in a single season with 4,379. He also holds the school record for single. We talked about this when they beat Charlotte a couple weeks ago. He holds the school record for passing yards in a single game with 608 yards. And this is all from a guy who played safety and punter in his high school. Did not play quarterback. 0-star recruit. Comes in to NTU and absolutely just shines. So I am very curious to see what happens with him. Like obviously the announcers were talking about the whole game is which NIL, which team is going to go all out and pay this kid because he deserves it. He's played amazing. But at the same time, their running backs shined that game too. They had 2 running backs at over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns each. Caleb Hawkins and Ashton Gray. They, it was pure offense, just lighting it up on every play. It was just big play after. I was trying to do multiple things at once, and every time I looked away, and he's running free, just every 5 seconds, and he's picked off. I was like, wow, I can't look away from the screen for 5 seconds without some big play happening. This is crazy. Such
Can you imagine Oklahoma State going from a wide receiver at QB to Mustamaker all in one
That would be
season.
crazy, but I feel like a better team's gonna pull him than that, unfortunately.
You think? I don't know. I give it a 50-50 right now that he goes to Oklahoma
Really?
State. I think, well, yeah, because that's where his head coach is going.
That's fair, but I feel like, yes, he is in the American Conference, and yes, he doesn't have the experience because of the high school stuff, but I feel like a team that's desperate could definitely take a swing right now, a bigger team. And while Oklahoma State is, a historically good school, they're coming off their worst season ever. Yes, they got his coach and they might have that connection, but who's going to pay him more is the question.
Yeah, but I also think there's a lot of QBs in the portal.
That's true, but
And so
not many had a season like he did. Some of the other people, the other quarterbacks are coming off of injuries. Sam Levitt. Some have had okay seasons, like Sorsby. Sorsby was a solid quarterback for Cincinnati, but nothing like stellar or standoutish. While Mustamaker was playing against an American Conference schedule and didn't have like standout games, he was lighting everybody up. And there was only one game where I truly thought he looked out of his depth, and that was USF. So every other game he played pretty well. So
a lot of people have Sam Levitt 1, then
mhm.
him 2. Then they have, I think, Byron Brown 3. I think they have like Sorsby 6. They have Rocco Becht in
Did
there.
Byron Brown say he's
They got
transferring? He did? I thought he was committed. Okay. Wow. I don't blame him. I mean, they just lost their coach even and a ton of people, so I wouldn't be that shocked, but it looked like he was staying for a while.
I was surprised he had one more
Mhm.
year, but I don't know. He probably got eligibility through injuries or
Yeah, probably
something.
something like that. We'll see. Maybe Pavia will get another year too.
Yeah. Who?
Pavia.
Pavia? It
Girl.
may be. I saw people pitching Cam Rising to Michigan, so
Oh my god.
he's still got one more
Dude.
year.
That would be the worst decision of their lives if they did that. Oh my god. For both of them, both parties. For Cam, because he'd probably get
Yeah.
crushed and killed because he's made of paper, and Michigan because they'd be putting all their money on a quarterback made of paper.
Yeah. I mean, there could be more QBs too. I mean, if Mensah gets in the portal, you know that he's gonna be
Mensa
right up
needs to
there
go in the
too.
portal
So
because I hate Duke. I hate Duke. There is no reason he should be wasting his talent there. I know he does make some mistakes, but he really limits it for how much he has to do for that team. He is pretty limited his mistakes for in comparison to what kind of load he has to carry for that inconsistent ACC champion somehow team.
that guy's electric. I called it all year. He's really good. He does not get the attention he
Yeah,
deserves.
that's why he needs to
And
leave.
again,
He
because
needs
he's
to
on
go to
Duke.
another school that's gonna get him more attention because his draft stock could be great.
Yeah. I think when it comes to the portal, I could be wrong, and unless some other people enter the portal, I think it's Indiana gets their picking, just because they've shown, hey, we can develop you, we can make you an NFL player. So whoever Indiana wants, they'll probably get, and then you go from there. Florida, they need a QB, right? So somebody's got to go there. Miami, they need a QB, somebody's got to go there. So um, yeah, but there's tons to pick from,
Who do you think is
especially those
who do you
Big
think is
12.
actually the, like, best quarterback in the transfer portal? Or that could be, because there's people like I believe Saga Puccielli who could go into the transfer portal and you
No, he's
staying?
staying. He's staying at Cal. He's already said
After
he's
losing
staying.
to
Yeah.
Hawaii? That is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy because he has the most
He's
potential, I
fantastic.
think.
I mean, his team let him down like
Yeah,
crazy
he's
in that game.
fantastic.
Ugh.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's actually staying. Um, Sam Levitt's flashy. He didn't impress me this year.
He
He
only
he
played
really
half the
didn't.
year. Like,
He only played half the year and he had injuries, but like people forget the first like 5 games, he was bad. Like he wasn't good, he was bad. Um, so I don't know. He had some good games, but he had a lot of bad games, and the bad games were against bad teams too that he should have been tearing it up. I think he barely passed over 200 yards in his like fourth game or something like that. He's got a lot of potential though. Pair him with a good team, and you want to see what he does. So I can see a Miami or a Florida reaching for the stars with him. Uh, if he was smart, I think he'd go to Indiana, but I think he'll end up at a big program. I think he'll end up at a Florida or Miami, and that might be a good fit for him. I do like Mustamaker. I think there's some surprising QBs that will do well. So like, it's almost all but done. Sorsby's going to Tech, and I think he'll really thrive there. Because Sorsby, besides the end of the year when he fell apart, he didn't make mistakes. And Tech, yeah, you have that defense that you live behind. Yeah, you don't have to make a mistake. You can just play it safe, and he does really well in that role. Rocco Beck, I'd like to see what Rocco Beck does on a different team. I think he could be really good as well. So I I don't know. Those are some of the names. And I'd love to see Byron Brown on the big stage. I want to see Byron Brown on like Michigan just killing it or something, you know? That would be really cool.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting. Obviously, Bryce Underwood would have to enter the transfer portal himself,
Well, I just threw out a
but
name, but
I
yes.
could really see him just going slightly upstate to Gainesville and joining them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Um, all right. Well, Chance, how do you feel? We asked you about I asked you about this last week. It seemed like you were going to be in the dumps either way, and I was very shocked at the outcome of this game. Not the outcome, but how close it was and how much like grit Georgia Tech showed you on the way there. How did the Pop Tart Bowl go for you?
I don't want to bag on Georgia Tech too much because their offense looked good. And they did good in ways that were a little bit surprising to me. Haynes King didn't run the ball over BYU. He hardly ran at all. He was pretty much contained. The running backs, they stepped up. One of the underrated parts of their team that I think a lot of people overlooked, which did really well in the bowl game, was their offensive line. They opened up holes. They protected their QB for the most part. They did well. Uh, so credit to Georgia Tech's offense, especially in the first half, who performed really well. Um, they did get my opinion.
Here it
I'm
is.
a homer. They got bailed out quite a bit on some calls that I was like, really? Um, and specifically no call penalties. There was one no call penalty that should have been called on BYU and didn't. So I'll give them that. But there were several where it's like they got him stopped, and then there was, this phantom face mask, this phantom PI and stuff. And I think that told a lot of the story of the game that doesn't show up on the stats sheet. So BYU got behind because of that, and they self imploded again. They do this against the Tech teams. They self implode. They gave up basically a touchdown by just muffing a kickoff return. They gave it to him on like the 3-yard line. Uh, they 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 met, credit to Georgia Tech in the red zone because they did really well in the red zone. But BYU 1-yard line couldn't kick it, couldn't find the way in. Save 7 points there. So uh, there was a lot of overcoming that had to be done by BYU, and credit to Georgia Tech for making those plays and taking advantage of the situation. But grittiness to BYU to make the game happen. And there were some unfortunate things for Georgia Tech too. I mean, I I don't know if you saw the whole game or not, Chase. I know you had some connection issues, but there was one play where Georgia Tech was almost in the red zone, or they were, and a BYU player was running to go tackle a receiver who got a screen pass, and the guy tripped. And on his trip, he kicked up his foot, and when his foot came up, it kicked the ball and caused a fumble. It's like, oh
I did see
man,
that play.
like super opportune. Yeah, super opportune for BYU, but like Georgia Tech, if you're like, oh man, that was the game. That was the game for them. The kicked fumble. So that does suck for them. Good game overall. Good. I respect Georgia Tech a ton. For pulling out what they did. Not very many people, if any, opted out for them. So at least they played the game. That was awesome. They got a Pop Tart. Uh, what is it called? That got toasted at least. Unlike one Pop Tart that opted
Dude, that
out
that is
at the end.
seriously the funniest thing. Like I couldn't watch a lot of games Saturday because I was busy driving around picking up stuff for family, unfortunately. But when I stopped at one of the restaurants, I was watching that game for a while, and then I saw the clips later of. I cannot believe they literally had a Pop Tart opt out of being toasted and say, "We'll be back next year. You'll rue the day." Like that is so perfect. Like, whoever thought of that idea, you're a genius. Thank you so
Dude,
much.
the Pop Tart Bowl is just like it's the people's championship, right? It's just the ultimate bowl where they just go all out. And I don't know why other bowls don't do that because it's perfect advertising for Pop Tarts. I mean, they throw everything out there. There was a Pop Tart grilling
Yeah,
Pop Tarts during the middle of the game, and it's like, what are, what
yeah,
are we
even the
doing here?
announcers are like, "What is going
Um,
on?" Or they were even saying, "Dude, that ball was just a Pop-Tart out of his hand." Like, they were even in a.
yeah. It was just a Pop Tart away, right? Or just a toaster away. Yeah. They throw everything at the game, which is super entertaining. I, not being able to go to the playoffs sucks, but at least it was the Pop Tart Bowl and it wasn't another Big 12 team in the Alamo Bowl. So that was a fun aspect. The jerseys are sweet.
Literally.
The sprinkles on the helmets and everything. There's some, by the way, BYU fans, there's some memorabilia that's out for the Pop Tart Bowl. They've got sweet hoodies with sprinkles all over them and Pop Tarts. They're actually pretty cool looking. So,
Use our code.
yeah,
Just kidding. We
very
don't.
fun.
I was like, "Use our
What?
code." Don't do it.
Use the code.
Just
Yeah, use
kidding.
our
We don't have.
code. Yeah. You want to sponsor us, Pop Tarts? Anyway, but back to the game. Couple things I want to point out too on BYU side at least. Wait, by the way, is Hankins done? Was
Yeah.
that his final game?
Yeah. He was a senior. So
Yeah.
same
Okay.
him and Kid Klubnik, seniors, they're done. So
Yeah. Well, great career. That guy's great. Top down, great leader. He pulled his team. I mean, if you look at his stats, that dude pulled his team to victory. Good on him. I'm sure there's a lot of great seniors from that team and everything. So hopefully Georgia Tech is able to reload. But I mean, if you guys should relish what you had because that was awesome. That Georgia Tech team's great. On BYU side, just couple observations. And this again kind of speaks to Jay Hill. Kind of sucks, but there were some key guys missing. Jack Kelly, who's a big part of the team, he's a senior, so we're not going to have him next year. He was out during the game. So we got a true freshman going in Nusi Tamapeo. And Nusi's great. By the way, BYU fans, he already announced he's coming back. He's going to be a star. You guys need to treat him right. He asked for some followings on social media. Go follow him on social media. Do everything you can to make that guy stay because he's going to be awesome. He's definitely going to be one of the replacements for next year, and depending on Glasker. Anyway, he he played kind of a hybrid role. He couldn't take on all of Jack Kelly's role. Jack Kelly at this time in his career is just a better player, and he couldn't do it. Jack Kelly, by the way, third most stacks in the nation. So it's hard to replace that. So what they did is they put Nusi as kind of a hybrid, and then they gave a lot of the responsibilities to Isaiah Glasker, who's very capable, and just switched up the defense that way. And I don't think Georgia Tech saw that coming, that different responsibilities from that linebacking group, and they sent in different packages on blitzing and whatnot, and it was successful. So credit to, especially second half when they figured it out, credit to that coaching staff, credit to freaking Jay Hill, who's gone now, who did really well. And Chase, I know it might not have seemed like it on paper, but Bear Bachmeyer, he played really well. He played fantastic. Besides one stupid pick, it was a really
unfortunately,
bad pick.
the plays I
Really bad
saw,
pick.
and I just stared at the TV like, why? I was like, why? It was so obvious to be a pick when he threw that ball. I was like, what are you doing?
You know what that pick reminded me of?
What?
Last year's
Yeah,
QB.
Jake Retzlaff. Yeah, that was a
Yeah, he would have thrown that pick too. But besides that pick, he was immobile. He couldn't move. So they didn't run him up the middle like they usually do. I think they had one speed option play with him, and he did run up the middle one time because it was in the red zone. But he had become a pocket passer, and that's been one of my biggest questions. Is hey, when he's a pocket passer, what can he do when he doesn't have LJ Martin that he can hand it off to? When that dimension is taken out, because our our running backs outside of LJ Martin, who knows if he's back or not, and Sione Moa, who played in like 2 games, it's not good. BYU needs to go recruit some guys. They need to go hit the portal really hard, especially if LJ Martin's out because Bear needs it. But that being said, without that, he played lights out. And no offense to Georgia Tech, their defense is pretty suspect, but Bear Bachmeyer played really well on 1 foot and no running back. So credit to him. Good game, fun to watch, and now portal time. You don't anybody who says, "Hey, this is a top 15 team going into next year," you have no idea. Could be. It could also be a very bad team because you lose everybody, especially with the Kyle Whittingham stuff. Nobody knows what their team is going to look like next year, especially LSU, right? So,
well, yeah,
um,
we're having some
yeah,
disagreements in the group chat right now about who has it worse. We're wondering how the transfer
yeah.
portal and recruiting is going to end up this year, and what's going to happen. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, for an LSU fan, which I am, huge LSU fan, for any new viewers, uh, when's the last time you saw a coach come in year one and win a natty? It's not going to happen. As much as I'd love to see it. There's no way that Lane is going to come in 1 year and win right away. So I'm shooting for, can you get us to a playoff game or maybe an SEC title and see what goes there? But I don't expect the world from year one of Lane Kiffin. I'm hoping for something from year 2 or 3, and then if we have him for that long, we'll see. Obviously, what happens with Mr. Kiffin and his track record. I trust him for a few years, but not forever, obviously. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, BYU's got their own stuff going on, so that's we're arguing. The only one that's not arguing is Connor with ASU because it's not looking that great for them right now. But we will see. We shall see.
Everything can change. You never know. That portal takes and it
Yep, it
gives.
giveth and it taketh away. So all right, well, the bull records right now. I'm trying to figure out what story these bull records tell. So I'll give you a list here, guys. So get your pen and paper out because we're obviously gonna have a pop quiz after that, a Pop Tart quiz. Yeah, I know that was a terrible joke, but I had to do it. It's in my
Good, too
nature. I
bad.
had to do it. So all right, the big
I should have gotten some Pop Tarts and started eating them. We really need
you
that
could have eaten
brand
that like
deal,
Sataki
man.
did, where you just grabbed that whole big piece and just went
Did you see him try to like
yeah,
karate chop
dude.
it? You know.
And that Notre Dame freaking thing was trying to make fun of him. I was just like, dude, can you guys just shut up and get over?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
it's so funny that that their Notre Dame fans want to come out and be like, oh, dude, Notre Dame just lives in their heads all the time, and then here's Notre Dame literally just talking shit about Kalani Sitake, who's like the most wholesome coach in the entire league, just eating a Pop Tart. Like, if
what?
Marcus Freeman did that, they'd be very upset with him. No, they wouldn't. Like, chill out.
Didn't it say like if Morgan Freeman's ever did this, I would never be a
Yeah,
fan or
like
something like
he
that?
would
Something
get made
stupid.
fun of like crazy or something. I was just like,
Over a bowl tradition, like that's what you do. That's the trophy. You go and eat the Pop Tart. That's the point of it. Whatever.
usually Pop Tarts
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy not being able to watch a football game
you
this
do
this bowl season, I
or
guess.
play your rival next season. But usually
It's
Pop
just
Tarts are sugary, but all I'm getting is salt from these Notre Dame fans. So
oh, there you go. You know what I don't understand too? Like that team, nobody got mad that they didn't play in the playoffs or that they opted out of the bowl game. Every single one of them was like, "Oh yeah, that's the right decision." Like I'm surprised that the fan base got so behind that.
I want
I
to
don't
see my
know.
team
If
play.
my team did that, I might get a little mad and be like, "Hey, play the dang bowl game, that's what you do. Don't be sour."
Yeah, I don't know why we're opting out as a whole thing. Like, I don't like when players opt out even, but like a whole team, and I get it. It was a team decision. They all voted on it. I want to see who voted yes because they're soft. I'm sorry, they're all soft. That's
Well, yes, I agree with that, but it's just like the whole fan base. None of them were mad that that happened. I'm surprised they backed the team as
like,
much as they did
like
on
I'd
that
support my
decision.
team, but if they did that, I wouldn't defend them saying, "Oh, they were totally in the right for doing it." I'm like, I can understand
Exactly.
it,
They're
but I'm
defending a
disappointed. I'm like,
yeah.
why aren't you playing? Why aren't you playing? Why aren't you playing
Okay,
against
yes.
USC next
Sorry.
season? Just play week 0. Who cares? Like you're playing
That's
nobody
my
next
point.
season. Just play someone. Why do I want to see you kick the shit out of Syracuse and UConn or whoever they're playing? They're playing nobody next year. I don't even remember how bad because their schedule was so bad when I looked at it. BYU truly saved their schedule and if they don't win that game, Chance, I'm going to be coming for you because if it weren't for them, they would have the weakest schedule they have had in like 20 years. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I really hope they win. But yeah, that was my point. Is I haven't seen a fan base like just defend and defend and defend over something that they have no standing to defend over. I don't get it, but
But
whatever.
all right,
That's on them.
back
Anyways,
back
your
to this
standings
back to the record so far.
to the Pop Tart
Yeah, the
standings,
Pop
right?
Tart stand.
No, take that part out. We can't do that.
Well, maybe next time. Reach out to
Think
us,
about it,
DM
Pop
us.
Tart.
All right. The big one that people are talking about is very unironically the Big Ten. They're talking Big Ten is 5-0 right now. Every time I see this on a graphic, they do not tell you what teams they beat to be 5-0. So I'm going to tell you what teams they beat. They beat all G5 opponents. One of them was JMU in the playoffs. Congratulations, that's a solid G5 win. The next was Central Michigan. Ooh, Central Michigan. That is a great team. I'm scared to play them to be honest. They terrify me. Uh crap. We'll edit this part out. Who else did they beat? Central Michigan. UNM, New Mexico. Woo! UNM, who beat UCLA this season. So I guess they have some experience. And that also took overtime. Minnesota went to overtime with New Mexico to win 20-17. And then Washington kicked the crap out of Boise State. Those were all G5 wins. And then you have the stumbling 7 and now I believe it's 7-6 Clemson Tigers. So that is the 5-0 that you guys got. Congratulations.
Who opted? Their whole team opted out
I
too.
think it is very fitting that the Big Ten, even when they're not the ones scheduling these games, they get a soft schedule. Even when it's the the I forget what is it, a committee? Bowl committees are picking this. They're scheduling these games, and they still get the softest schedule you could ever conceive. Like it's crazy.
Well, it does change a little bit coming up because I think they play 3 SEC teams this week. Is
You
that
got
right?
Iowa at Vanderbilt, Michigan at Texas, and a playoff game, Alabama, Indiana. Then Oregon at Texas Tech, Ohio State at Miami, and I think that Nebraska at Utah. That's not gonna go in their favor.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, so they've got at least some, this is the tough part of their schedule, I guess. So we'll see if that 5-0 stands, that
is
perfect
Whittingham
record.
finishing the season doing bowl game?
I don't think he is. I could be wrong
Nebraska, you have a chance.
because I mean he was already doing promos for Michigan. He was with their AD and everything.
But anyway, they're 5-0. Congratulations, Big Ten. You did something. The SEC is struggling at 2-4. Not a good look, but I mean, when you have in LSU's case where your entire offense opts out, or sorry, entire defense opts out, and then your best offensive lineman, your starting quarterback, obviously he wasn't going to play, and then your best 2 wide receivers opt out. I'm not that shocked. I'm honestly more shocked that Houston took 4 quarters to beat LSU at that point, but it is what it is. SEC is struggling. Big 12, 2-0. They had their first 2 games on Saturday. BYU handled their big.
By the way, kind of a we talked about Notre Dame and I get these ones, but I still maybe don't agree. A lot of Big 12 teams opted out of their bowl games.
What other ones? I know
Just a
Iowa State
reminder.
did. What other ones did?
Iowa State, hold on, let me look it up really quick. What Big 12 teams opted out of bowl games? It was Iowa State and Kansas State. They also opted out.
Kansas State. Yeah, it was literally the first matchup was the week one matchup that opted out. Interesting. Although, was Kansas State even eligible?
Both lost their
Kansas
coaches.
State wasn't eligible. They got offered it because of other opt-outs and said no, right? Was that it? Or were they already eligible? Are they 6-6?
No, they were 6 and
Okay.
6.
Because I know Florida State
Um,
said no, even though
but
they were 5-7 and they got offered it. So it's like a kind of
But I think for Iowa State, they were super injured. Then Matt Campbell left and everything. That they were just like, "Ah, we're done." I still would have liked to see him play. I understand it, but it sucks. I would have liked to see him play. And then Kansas State, 6 and 6 turmoil as well. But just play your game. If not for like the money for your school, play the game. Play the
just play
game.
the
Come
game.
on.
I mean, we'll get into this at the end of this. We'll talk a little bit more and get into this discussion, but I do have something to say about these kind of things. All right, so the Big 12 is 2-0. Congrats to both Coug teams for winning their games, and they're 2-0 right now. We'll see how it goes this week with ASU, Utah, Cincinnati, and Arizona. I think that's all of them. And Texas Tech, obviously. So we'll see if that continues. Dude, if on another note, if Texas Tech lets me down, I swear to God, I swear if they do not handle their business against the Ducks, oh,
Dude,
like
they need
it's so
to.
annoying because I really like Oregon. I like the Ducks. I like them, but they're a Big Ten team now, so it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I would have cheered for them if they. I cheered for them when they played Indiana. I wanted Oregon to win the game. If they would have won the game, I would have cheered for Oregon the rest of the year. But they lost, and they left, and and they lost in a way that I thought was a dominant loss for a dominant win for Indiana. So I think that if Oregon wins this game, it's really a disservice to the Big 12.
Well, and it's an Oregon team that we're still. I know a lot of people are scratching their head and they're wondering what is Tech, and it's a wild card for them. But for me, Oregon is as much of a wild card. They didn't play that very many good teams. I know they walloped or they beat USC.
That's their
That's a good win.
only that's their only
That's the only
dominant win
one.
against a ranked team. The only other one they have is Iowa, and that was by 2 points. And I don't think Iowa's ranked anymore.
Yeah,
So
and no offense to JMU, but oh, we'll see how good they really were.
So that one
That's a
did
tough game.
changed my mindset a little bit because I'm one of those people that I think JMU is a good team. I think they deserve to be there.
I
I
thought
think
so
they
too.
deserve to be there. I truly think that the only reason that Oregon won that game is because it was in Oregon. If it was like some of the other playoff matchups where it was a neutral field somewhere and it was closer to
Well,
Virginia,
and
I think that JMU would have kept it a lot closer because they started coming back. If they didn't start slow, they would have had a chance in that game. So, but it's a
JMU
night
started out the
game in
worst they
Autzen
could.
against one of the most historically good offensive teams. Like, of course, that's not going to pan out well if you start slow against these teams. But
Yeah. They started out really bad and they made it a game come away. So I again, people are putting a question mark on Tech. For me, it's Oregon. What is Oregon? I feel like we don't
like
know.
Oregon, they have one loss. They deserve to be there for sure. But the problem is, I don't know if I trusted. I thought I would trust Iowa, and then they choked, and then I thought I trust USC, and they choked. Uh, I think Oregon's a good team, but I don't think they're so dominant that they're like this sleeper national title contender that people keep talking about. There, so many people are picking them, and I get out of the top four teams, they are the 5 seed, so they would be the most likely candidate outside of that first four. But I don't know. I don't. Have you watched the Ducks ever in any of these big games? JMU was their first playoff win ever, ever. They have sorry. I apologize. Second playoff win ever. They beat Florida State in 2015 in the first playoffs,
Yeah.
and then lost
Because they made
in a
the
blowout to Ohio
championship game.
State. But was their second win
Yeah.
ever in the playoffs, and they've been to the playoffs quite a few times, but they always lose the big games that either get them into the playoffs or in the playoffs. So, or the national championship in the
Yeah.
BCS against Auburn. So they've never done it. They're that team that people like to think is some sort of like blue blood, but they've never won a championship, so they can't be a blue blood in my eyes. Um, Texas Tech hasn't done it either, but dude, if you've watched Tech this year, I think the problem is a lot of people have not watched Tech this year because they had really maybe 2 nationally, televised games, and that would have been the both BYU games, and then they don't really know how they absolutely just manhandled every other team as well. Like, they handled Utah in Utah. They handled BYU twice. They almost came back and beat ASU with a backup quarterback, which is
It wasn't just the quarterback either. They were
they
banged up
lost one of
in
their best,
many positions.
defensive linemen. They were in that game, they lost a tight end to I believe, a season-ending injury in that game. They were missing quite a few pieces, but obviously their quarterback was the integral piece that really screwed them. But truly, the only way I see Texas Tech really laying an egg is because of this huge break. Oregon got to get their starter going with playing at home against the G5 team, and Texas Tech did. But we'll get into that. We're going on a tangent again, which is my fault. But all right, back into these records. This segment's gonna lose some. It's gonna lose some momentum here. All right, Big 12 2-0.
It's all right.
Damn Cougs. Anyway, ACC. We mentioned this earlier. They're 3-3. They're at 50%. A lot of those
Are they 4-3? Oh, that's AC. AAC. Sorry.
3-3. Pac-12 1-0. They're going 100% for the year, baby. Go Cougs again.
Best
Yeah,
conference out there.
can't beat
Conference of
them.
champions.
They're now undefeated for bowl season. Unless somehow they make up a new one for Oregon State to play in. We need more opt-outs. Come on, guys, more opt-outs. Don't disregard everything we just said about opt-outs. Opt out right now. We need Oregon State in a bowl game. All right, AAC, the American Conference. They are 4-3. It's like a 50.
And they started out 0-3,
Yeah, they
right?
were, and that was the 3 teams you would have thought would have won. It was USF, Memphis, and Tulane. Sorry, you wouldn't have expected Tulane to win their game, but because it was a playoff game. But those were probably the best 3 of the American Conference, arguably. Well,
Besides North
yeah.
Texas.
Sorry, I would have taken out Memphis and put in North Texas because Memphis was one of the top teams, and then they just fell apart at the end of the year and lost like 4 straight or something. But those teams all lost. And then you have teams like North Texas. North Texas, what other teams came in and won it for them? UTSA absolutely handled their business last week. Where is it? Let's see.
East Carolina.
East Carolina, yep. Pitt, come on, man. And
The other one, Army.
Army,
right?
yep, you're right. Army, American over 500, and they're probably going to get even better because Navy should win theirs in my opinion, but we'll see. All right, Mountain West. We noticed this from the beginning. The Mountain West is not looking good this year, and they proved it because I mean, in most of these games too, there wasn't that many opt-outs, and their teams did not perform. They did not perform. The only wins for the Mountain West were Hawaii, and that was a great game, by the way. That Hawaii game, that was
Man,
such a good game to watch, and it was so like with 10 seconds on the clock, they go ahead after they were getting blown out at the beginning too. They came back and won that.
you guys had Hawaii. I had Cal.
And then it ends with a freaking bench clearing fight between Hawaii and Cal. Of all the teams to fight, Hawaii and Cal, it's crazy. I get they had a lot of people. Cal has a lot of Hawaiian natives that grew up there, so they probably have bad blood from high school. A lot of their players, so that was probably something that. But it's so funny to see, like, of all the teams you expect to get in a fight, you wouldn't have expected Cal and Hawaii. But that was a fantastic game. I loved it. Even though it's honestly, even if I was in your shoes and I picked Cal, that was a really fun watch.
It was a good game. It was a good.
But the only other team other than Hawaii in the Mountain West that won was Fresno State. And Hats off to you guys.
Didn't they blow out too in their bowl
I
game?
think it was like 19-7. Let's see. I got it right here. Yeah, it was against
I thought they
Miami. It was
performed
against
pretty
Miami,
well.
Ohio. It was 18-3. Which, if you watch Miami, Ohio in the championship week, I believe they lost their quarterback. Even like they were not putting up points. So all you have to do is score 10 on them, apparently, and beat them. So that's not a good look for a team that was literally in their conference championship. All right, and then the MAC 2-3 with wins from Western Michigan, who absolutely gobstomped Kennesaw State, which made me very sad after watching Kennesaw State this whole year. I didn't even get to see the game. I woke up because it was a really early game, and I go, "Wow, wow!" Isn't that like that
That
was
was a
like
shocker to me too.
I could have seen them winning healthily, but damn, dude, they didn't. Kennesaw didn't even have a chance. It was sad. And that was one of the games where I said that fan turnout might have mattered, and clearly, because they were a lot close. That was the Myrtle Beach Bowl or Myrtle Bowl, and that's a lot closer to Georgia than it is to Michigan. So, but didn't matter apparently because they controlled that game, destroyed it.
It's crazy to me that the MAC has had 5 games so far in the bowl season because they started off conference play with nobody over
Yeah.
500.
And they're 2-3.
So-
They're right there. You know, they got Western Michigan and the Ohio Bobcats. If there was 2 teams I would have picked winning for them, I would have probably picked those 2 teams. I would have. If I'm picking straight up, I would have picked Kennesaw like I did because I just liked Kennesaw, but clearly I was wrong about that. I believe I accidentally skipped Sunbelt. Sunbelt 3-5 with wins from Old Dominion, Arkansas State, and now Georgia Southern. Damn you, Georgia Southern! I hate you guys. Congratulations on beating your
For no
rival in a
reason.
bowl game. I hate you guys. This is deeper than hate. And Conference USA 3-3. Jackson State with a win. Western Kentucky and Delaware. Didn't expect that Delaware win either. Right.
Delaware was projected to be one of the worst teams in football. So good for
They had a
them.
good season. They beat UConn.
Yeah, not good on them.
So, Chance, I ask you, what do these records say, if anything? Does it matter? Do bowl records matter in college football nowadays? Or is that or have those days passed us by because of the transfer portal and NIL and all that jazz?
Yes and no. The problem with not only the transfer portal and opt-outs and matchups, a lot of times it doesn't matter because, like we said, LSU was if LSU won that game, that would have been crazy. But there's no way LSU should have won that game, right? And so should that reflect poorly on the SEC? Probably not. Now, Mizzou getting whacked, that should, right? So there's some games that you should look at. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, hardly anybody didn't play. So that should matter. Problem is, you're going to get on social media and everybody's going to say the Big Ten is so good and the SEC sucks and this and that. And don't listen to those guys. I wish the bowl games did matter more, Chase, because you could tell a little bit more of the story of this season and maybe going into next season. But for most of the games, no, it doesn't matter. I think the ones that most matter the most are obviously the playoffs. That's what matters. And we're going to get plenty of those games. So that's great. We can determine what we need to off of those. And honestly, the G5 games are probably the ones that matter the most. And the reason why I say the G5 teams is those are the players that are going to play. And they're going to play because they either for pride, because that's why they're in the G5 and playing because of pride, or they're playing to see, hey, can I get a spot in the big times? Can I get that spotlight that nobody's been able to watch me and see how I shine and move on? Those are the big ones. And then if you can get one or two bowl games that are good outside of it, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the Alamo Bowl, or whatever it is, those can be entertaining too. But most of these games, Chase, they're kind of throwaways. I think ratings are going to go down and it's going to be meaningless. And the NCAA has to figure it out because it really sucks. I've been turned off to a couple of games because I'm like, Why should I watch ASU play their bowl game? Nobody on their team's playing. I mean, Jordan Tyson's out, Raleek Brown's out, Sam um, Levitt's out. Why would I watch that game? I
Well, I
so
felt the same way with
I don't know.
literally
It's
I
something
felt the
has
same
to.
way with literally my team. So I was busy for a majority
Yeah,
of it, but when I saw it was close, I did tune into it just to see how it would finish, even though I didn't expect it to be in the favor that I wanted. Because literally the whole team was gone. Yeah, I mean, you had Harold Perkins was out, Delane, our best corner, was out, AJ Halsey, our best safety, was out,
Mansoor,
Whit Weeks is out, West
the
Weeks opted
weeks.
out to prepare for the draft. That's like our entire defense, pretty much. It's like the
Yeah.
it's like the best 7 players,
You wish it was the
and then
offense that opted
and
out
then
because that
even
would have been
I wish
amazing.
different people on the offense opted out. So I mean, so you have Garrett, he opts out. Obviously, I don't even know if it was opting out at this point. I think he just got benched and didn't want to come back in and be like, "Oh, I actually can play." Um, and our backup quarterback, he played decently, so I'm not going to blame him for anything. Uh, our best offensive lineman, our offensive lineman that gave up 0 sacks through 11 games.
The
Yep,
only
the
offensive
only good
lineman.
one opted out. I was like, "Dude, come on, man. Can we get anyone in this?" Uh, but they played close. It wouldn't have been close if they didn't start the game off with a 99-yard return touchdown. So I was sad that I missed that when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, they might have a chance because they got some free points." But it is.
So here's a question for you, and we've talked a little bit about this. This is just me spitballing, by the way. Would you rather have a Cam Ward situation where he's like, "Hey, I'll play for one half"? Would you rather have that or just have them not play?
No, I'd rather him not play. I'll be honest. I'd rather him.
I kind of agree. What's the point of
Yeah.
playing a half? I don't get
Well,
that. But I mean, again, the situation I liked, you could say what you want about the program and about the players, but when Colorado put insurance on their players and said, "Heck yes, we're playing that bowl game," that was awesome that they did that.
yeah, I think it yeah. For Cam Ward, I'm not gonna take it against him, I guess. It's a full opt out in my
No,
opinion. That's just what it feels like. I mean, if you're playing half of it, it's like, well, we know you can play, so why aren't you just playing the full game? And it doesn't change
the sad
even if he
part too.
played the second half instead. It's like he's stealing what could have been the first win for the next guy, at that point. So, I don't see any
Yeah.
point in playing. If
Well,
you're gonna opt out at all, then just do it the whole.
the sad part about that particular game, which I think that it was against Iowa State in the Pop Tarts Bowl, wasn't it? Was that the Tarts Bowl? Yeah. Uh, it came down to the last drive. Uh, Cam Ward could have gone back in the game and won, because the backup was kind of struggling. They were in a position to win. He could have gone back and won. And I'm sure a lot of the fans were like, "Get in there, go play the game, go finish it. You can win this for us." And he was sitting there in the sidelines, eating Pop Tarts
At
and
at
watching
that
his team
point,
lose. That sucks.
once he's committed to it, I think it would have been a disservice because it's like the dude kept it close, the backup, and then you come in and you steal his moment. Like, obviously,
I
at the end of
get
the day,
that,
he
but
did not pull it out. They lost, but if you came in and won that, that would have been kind of like, why? Just play the whole game then. What are you doing? Like, so
and I agree with that, Chase. I'm just saying the environment that he created by only playing a half made that situation suck in every way because some people would be mad because he didn't get in. If he got in, that would suck too. It just a sucky situation all over because he played one half. You know, so yeah, I would still if the answer, which I don't know if this is the answer or not, is putting insurance on kids. I mean, I think it would be worth it. You're gonna make the money to be able to put the insurance on the kids, right? But it probably depends on where you're getting drafted, right? If you're a first round pick, I understand if you don't play the game. Sucks, but I understand. But if you're like a fifth round kid, dude, that's spotlight. Go play. Go get
pull up your
have a big
caps.
game. Get up the draft board. Yeah. I don't get why unless you're like Cam Ward expected to be number one pick, go play the game. Come on.
You know, this isn't gonna happen because at the end of the day, it's gonna be money related. Um, I think that the best chance for these bowl games is they need to market like the Pop Tart Bowl is doing. They need to do that. I'm not expecting every bowl game to be able to do that because obviously, some of them are sponsored by weird things that I don't think you could really make fun. But we need more games like that. Obviously, like the Xbox Bowl did really well with that, with their achievement unlocked things like those that and Master Chief coming out there and do it. Like there's opportunity for some of these bowls to be like fun and like really watchable bowl games. They just need to put more
Yeah.
money and opportunity into it, and then they will get more viewership and blow up. The problem is some of them are slated on weird days. That's I mean, obviously this I didn't even get to see this game, this Georgia Southern at App State because it was at noon on a Monday. Like I get it's the holidays, but like that's a really weird time to put that. I don't know why we're doing that, um but
What about revenue sharing?
yeah.
You get a small portion of playing the game. Incentivize them with more money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying that I don't think this is the way it's gonna go because at the end of the day, I think that the people that benefit the most are pushing for more playoff teams. So they're just gonna want more playoffs, and that's the way they're gonna go. So they're gonna be like, "Oh, see, these bowl games suck," but they wouldn't if they were playoff games. And I think that's just the way that college football and the NCAA wants to go. Is they want to push towards that to make more money and get more views is just through playoffs. I don't The more and more they do this, the more they discredit the regular season. And like that then hurts viewership for the regular season because yeah, I mean, I want to watch Alabama at Georgia in the regular season, but now it doesn't really matter because both those teams could lose that game and they could lose in a blowout, and then it doesn't matter. And the same goes for a lot of teams now because there's so many teams can get in with 3 losses or 4 losses. And I just
The flip side, I'm just gonna throw devil's advocate at you, Chase. What if my team just lost their third game and I'm like, all right, there's no chance, season's over. I'm not gonna watch them anymore. But if there's more playoff spots, I might watch them because hey, they still can make the playoffs. It's the season's not over,
They don't deserve
kind of
it.
thing.
I'm sorry. Like this, I got some
I'm just
I
throwing
got some
devil's
brutal
advocate.
honesty when Texas lost to Georgia the way they did. They had 3 losses. There was a lot of like ESPN guys and a lot of other people, the crazy fans, saying they still deserve it. They still deserve it. They still deserve it. We got some brutal,
If they didn't
honest
play Ohio
Texas fans
State,
that said this team's not ready. I don't want to see them in the playoffs because they're going to get embarrassed. And that's what's going to happen more often. Like we're talking about these G5 teams that got blown out, right? That's gonna happen to the bigger teams too. It already does, but it's gonna happen more often if we keep letting in these teams that prove time and time again throughout the regular season that they were not ready for this moment. And yes, you might have a Cinderella story like you do in the FCS. Some people are trying to say that Illinois State is a testament to why the FBS needs to do the same with their playoffs. And no, no. For the FCS, all those teams are a lot closer in talent than you have in the FBS. There's the top 4 teams right now this year. It changes every year. Maybe there's 5 next year. Maybe there's 2 next year that really stand out. But right now, there's 4 teams solid at the top, and the rest after that, they are not at the same level right now. They aren't. It's blatantly obvious. It's something that I don't like to recommend is just looking eye test. Those teams in the top 4 spots are way better than the teams below them. One of them might choke this week. We'll see. I'm cheering for one of them to choke this week, but the odds are I don't think it's going to be the same as last year. I know that the top 4 teams lost last year, but you had Oregon who had almost lost to Ohio State before, rematched them. You had Georgia playing with their backup quarterback, and 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 then you had obviously ASU who should have won, got robbed by obviously their defense at the end of it, but also that terrible non-targeting call they didn't call against Texas. They should have won that game. And then Boise State, who deserve to be in the playoffs, but it's a G5 in the 3 seed playing against Penn State. We didn't expect that to go that great, did we? So, but
well, I mean, I think it just depends on the year. I guess the playoffs will tell us this time, right? One more thing I would throw at you with under this the bowl records and if they matter or not. A lot of players are already in the portal, right? Do you think and ASU Kenny Dillingham actually throws out this. He's like, "Hey, I don't care if you're in the portal. You can still play. I don't care if you're in the portal. Just come play the bowl game, right?" Do you think once the players hit the portal, because I know a lot of players haven't signed with teams yet, but not yet, but they kind of have, my opinion. People are talking. There's already things going down, right? Do you think the teams that are talking to these players are telling them, "Hey, we don't want you to play in the bowl game.
Probably
Opt
not. They
out."
don't want them to get
Do
injured.
you think that there's
It doesn't benefit them
Yeah.
what
How often do you think that that's happening? Like, I don't know, let's throw out, I guess Rocco Beck's a bad one. Let's throw out, Cincinnati, Sorsby. Do you think whoever he's talking to, do you think that the teams are like, "Hey, we do not want you to play in this game. We'll pay you not to
Yeah,
play in this game?"
I would not be shocked whatsoever. I think you're touching on what is the major problem is the schedule of transfers and all that. That needs to be changed. It needs to be moved to after the season or something because it messes up everything. It messed up the coaching carousel. It's messed up bowl games with all the opt outs. Like you would not have nearly as many opt outs right now if they couldn't go to the transfer portal right now. Like they are going in there so that they can get the best chance they have at getting to a good team. And if that's moved, if that date is moved to after the season, that would change so much. And obviously, it wouldn't affect the playoffs like it has with Lane Kiffin leaving his team and all those things.
Yeah. The issue with that, unfortunately, is school schedules, right? It's semesters and everything, but there's gotta be
I
some
think they
sort of
could. There
solution,
was
right?
one
There's got
proposed thing they can move the schedule a week earlier in the season. So
Remember who threw that out and who
oh,
called me
did you do that in
crazy?
the beginning of the season?
I called it out, and, Connor called me crazy, and he said, "I don't understand what you're saying."
Oh, I don't remember that, but I'm sure it happened.
Yeah, I said, "Hey, let's move the season up, like, a week or 2. Why not? There's conflicts, there's no reason why not to, and then you don't have to run in with a bunch of this stuff, and you solve the portal stuff. Not entirely, but for the most part, you
Yeah, I
do."
think if they did that and then I know it is a historical game, but it doesn't need to be the only game played that day. The Army Navy game is taking up a whole week by itself.
Oh,
It doesn't need to be the only game off. Let's just do that. We could slate that on a Friday or something. I don't know. Like it really is kind of silly that we have now like even the second round from the first round of the playoffs is like a 12-day gap. So I think if you just condense that more, even for the FCS, they have like 2 weeks between their championship game with what they're doing because of just scheduling stuff. So I think they could definitely make
yeah.
that better. And then if they did that, they could make the transfer portal schedule work better. But will they? Who knows? They're not showing anything on if they're going to regulate NIL or anything in any way. And it really does need some sort of cap or
Well, I mean, they have the law proposed and everything, but it's just funny because a bunch of teams have already committed for way more NIL money than the cap that's proposed. So I don't think it's going to go through. I honestly don't think that they're going to be able to regulate NIL through a cap at least this time.
you don't
But
have to
we'll
do it
see.
for next year.
We'll
If you
see what
put in
happens.
the thing, it could go for the next season after that, starting then or something. But no, something needs to be put in place because it is hurting football. It's helping the athletes and their wallets, and they deserve that money 100%. But it is hurting football because there needs to be something that gives a handle.
Something figured out.
All right, this has been our this has been our recap episode of the Concussion Protocol Podcast, 2/3 edition. I am Chase. This is Chance. And we want to thank you once again for your support, your likes, your comments, your shares, your follows, your subscribes, all that jazz. We appreciate it so much. Keep it coming. We want to hear from you guys in the comments what you think, what teams you expect to stand out next season, which teams you think are going to upset teams in the playoffs this season. We'd love to hear any of it because we love talking football. And I try to respond to as many people as we can. So, love to hear from you guys some more. See you soon. Signing off.